My name is Savannah, and welcome to my podcast. I'm going to introduce myself so that I'm not a stranger to you and you get to know the real me. My podcast is about how people feel, along with myself, in the automotive industry and community. Most topics are opinions and stories that should be respected. I have always loved cars, although I did not start with them. I started out by helping my dad restore boats. Many were ski nautiques used for water skiing, barefooting, wakeboarding, and kneeboarding in the delta of Discovery Bay. They would come to us not running, in need of upholstery and fiberglass restoration. I always had fun helping my dad with the boats and seeing the finished product go to a new home. As I grew up, he would buy more cars to fix up and sell. We've had multiple cars, including a few of my favorites. A midnight purple 1937 Ford pickup with flames on the front half, a black E55 AMG Mercedes, a white 335 IS BMW, a Nissan 370Z Nismo Edition, and a G35 Infiniti. All of them were sold, unfortunately, except for a gray Nissan 370, which became my twin brother's, and my own future car, which I'll talk about in a little bit. While working on all those cars, I found I loved hands-on work, and over time I knew every tool in the toolbox, including what size a bolt would be. In this process, I did not know it was unusual for women to love cars or to work on them. Frequently, people would come by our house and see my dad and I working on a car in the garage on a sunny day. The toolbox was organized to the left of the car, while the tools were organized on the ground or a table around the car. One of the most frequent comments that was made was, "Oh, she's working on the car too. That's impressive." It always surprised me. It never really bothered me, though. It made my passion feel more special to me over time. Fast forward to my high school years, I got my driver's license. After one day at track practice, I was waiting for my mom to come pick me up. I looked everywhere for her normal Jeep Grand Cherokee, or for the 335 IS we had at the time. Instead of finding our normal cars, I found my mom smiling at me in a charcoal gray 2012 2.0 Turbo Beetle. It had stock premium wheels, but nothing else. I got in the car very confused and asked when my dad got it. She then informed me it was shipped from Connecticut the night before. We drove home that night, racing everyone in sight due to the turbo power coming from the stock engine of 220 horsepower. We also played with the interior lights, which could be changed from red, white, and blue, alongside the doors and around the speakers. After getting home, I was informed it was to be my car. My initial reaction was, well, it was fun, but I never imagined myself driving a bug. The next few days, I drove it around and found it drove like a go-kart, which was extremely fun. The little bug started to grow on me. Coming back from a school trip, I found a performance exhaust system on my car that my dad had decided to surprise me with. I remember vividly being able to finally hear the car. Driving around was a blast, and I had the biggest smile on my face. That's when things got serious. I asked my dad, "What else can we modify on it?" Best question I could have asked. We put a K&N intake on it next, which really brought out the turbo sounds. We also encountered that there were little parts actually made for 2012 Beetles, and normally they didn't make any parts. The next easiest thing to do was upgrade all the boost pipes, which my dad did without me knowing for fun, again. Each modification I could feel a difference in. Next was tuning the car and adding more bolt-on parts. Over this course of time, spending so much time with my little bug, I decided to give it a name. I love Fast and Furious movies, and one of my favorite characters is Han. I decided Han would be my Beetle's name. Han was where I went when I needed a break from the world. where I felt nothing could touch me in the comfort of his seats and tinted windows. People always talked about having a bond to cars and seeing them as more than objects. I understood in these moments what they were talking about. I would take Han everywhere, to car meets, Southern California for Cars and Coffee in San Clemente, everywhere. I got different wheels eventually and kept modifying each time a general maintenance issue was needed, because why not upgrade the parts while I was at it? I graduated high school with Han drawn on my cap and gown, with my twin brother driving me through my graduation in his turboed 370Z. As much as I spent time with Han, it came a time where I knew I couldn't take him to college. I accepted a scholarship at Boise State in Idaho, where it snows. It was a sad decision, but Han had to stay in California while I went to school. Starting out in college, I thought I would be an art major or something else due to my painting shoes and my love for art. I went through the course catalog and did not like any of the majors provided because I did not want to feel stuck doing one thing or stuck in an office. As much as it may be surprising, anything with cars was out of the question because I felt the need to get a high-paying job to fund my car hobby. People around me would say, women don't get treated right in the industry and you won't get paid as much. I was also told I would need to prove myself more than others because women do not get taken seriously. Those stereotypes and comments got stuck in my head. My future was stressful because I would be working a job I might not like and wanted to keep my car hobby at the same time. One night, I went out with a couple friends to get dinner. We were sitting outside Chipotle when I started hearing cars in Idaho. Now, most car people understand what's going through my head. I stood up, trying to find the source and see the modified car. After a couple seconds, there was a line of cars rolling past us with their modified exhaust and other things. My friends started thinking it was funny because mid-conversation I would blank out and watch the cars pass me. I asked one of my friends if we could please follow them to whatever meet they were going to, which of course she said no because I would probably stay there all night. I realized that through my short beginning at college without my car, I was longing to have it and be with the community. It became clear that no matter what others were saying to me and what I was in my head about, I would not be able to push myself out of loving cars. I started trying to figure out ways I could work in the industry that would also provide a life for myself. I came home due to COVID and finally had my car back while doing online classes. Han received a big turbo, which was extremely fun. I went to Cars and Coffee again and met more people who wanted to know about Han. I love talking about cars with anyone and everyone. The thing I always got, and still do, is the surprise that I did the work myself and did not have a shop do it. I made it my mission to start normalizing women in the community and talking about the work I have done. I still had to prove myself being able to do work, which was clear by Han working and not blowing up. I went back to school the next year and declared my major to be Interdisciplinary Studies, which is a 3-part major consisting of 2 minors and a certificate, to make up the bachelor's degree. It worked perfectly because I was not stuck doing one thing, and I could pick topics I actually like and put them together. I ended up with an art entrepreneurship minor due to my love of art and my shoe painting business. Also a business minor for general knowledge I might need, and an engineering design certificate for the closest I can get to what I wanted with hands-on work. The design classes surprised me because I did not know so much of my experience working on cars would be helpful in a design class. I started feeling confident in my future because my major could provide me with the information and skills I needed to start my own custom car shop in the future. If I could not get away from cars due to my love for them, then I wanted to share my passion with others who are similar. During this revelation, I started drag racing Han, because why modify him to have more power if it's not being used? Drag racing was scary at first. I was comfortable working on cars, but racing was a lot different. I started at a few weekly Wednesday drag nights at Sonoma Raceway just to feel comfortable. Then I entered into race wars for fun. My first race was against a 335i BMW, wrapped in a bluish-purplish color. I didn't do a burnout at the time because I wasn't comfortable, but I did a small launch to get the tires warmed up. I was in the left lane and pulled up to the tree and started my launch. Once it hit green, I released my foot from the brake and let my DSG transmission do what it was tuned for. The force of the launch pushed me back a little bit, so I had to make sure both hands were on the steering wheel so the car was in full control. My foot was fully pressed down on the gas, all the way to the floor, so I could see out of the corner of my eye that the BMW right next to me could have been winning or could not have been. As we got further down the track near the quarter-mile mark, I could see that I was slightly in front of him. Letting off the gas, I was on adrenaline high, no matter if I won or lost, through the finish line. I made it to the box and grabbed my time slip to see I ran a 12.58 second quarter mile. I was so surprised I did not run a 13 or a 14 second pass. Driving back to the pits to park, I took off my helmet and had my windows rolled down to cool off from no air conditioning being on in the hot weather. I could hear people saying, "Oh, it's a chick," or "It's a female driver." I laughed occasionally and made my way back to my space. Friends and family then came walking back from the stands where they were watching and were ecstatic to tell me I won, and the crowd went wild. I didn't believe them until I was shown a video of almost the entire crowd getting to their feet when I neared the finish line, trying to see which one of us won. When the light on the board showed that I won, everyone cheered. It was surreal to see that because they didn't even know who the driver was. They saw an unusual car like a Beetle and wanted to see what it could do. I felt that was similar to being a woman in the industry, because if a woman wins at events, it is seen as more special due to the fact it is rare for women to be involved. I continued to attend Race Wars events after that due to the excitement I got from racing, even though Han was likely to break most times. I contacted my tuner to see what I could get to get Han to be faster. He suggested water methanol and a JB4 stack tune. I agreed and had him install it due to my lack of experience with wiring and did not want anything to blow up. At this time I realized I have modified Han so much that reliability might be questionable. I was still driving Han 2 and 7 hours to California along with work. But I was happy because I could feel my car and hear the engine and blow-off valve from my turbo. Sometimes, no matter what modifications I had done to Han, I was not taken seriously because I'm a woman and Han did not produce a 10-second pass in the quarter mile. I realized that those opinions and judgments didn't matter. Today I'm almost finished with college, and Han is still at home where I drove him on breaks and occasionally when I just came home for weekends. I will not be selling Han ever in my life because of what I have been through with him. Han is still equipped with a big turbo, Stage 2 Plus tunes, full bolt-ons, and water methanol injection. My path after college has not been dictated by others and stereotypes. I want to inspire others to keep with their passion for cars no matter their gender and negative opinions surrounding them. It may be scary to enter into the industry, but with a plan, I was able to convince myself to follow my passion so that I can have a happy feeling in my heart that feels like it's going to burst every time I'm around cars. I love talking to others about their stories and experiences within the community and industry. I always love to talk about cars as well, and I hope some topics might inspire you and your passion. Also, may be inspired to connect and tell me your story and experience if you'd like to share. I appreciate if you've made it this far listening about how my passion has come to be. My passion for cars is not going anywhere, and I hope yours isn't either. Thank you very much for listening.